Okay. Hi, this is Michael Ellis. I've been working on I've been working on a circuit, but more or less it comes down to a coil that I was given or gifted when I was uh on a shamanic journey. It was my first shamanic journey to the upper realms, um, which I guess is pretty basic as far as shamanism goes, or but I guess I'll have to explain it. The shamanic realms are basically divided into three. You have the middle. It's the shamanic realms are viewed as like a tree. You have the middle realms. That's where kind of ghosts exist and uh like earthbound spirits and everything like that kind of exist in this sort of fantasy, but kind of tied to Earth, um, kind of realm sort of thing. And then you have the upper realm, which like all of the ascended masters and um, like the sky spirits and I don't know, it's hard to explain. I guess um, like all of the heavenly hosts, I guess is what it would be considered as far as like Christianity is concerned. And then you have the lower realm, which is considered like the power animals and power spirit animals and what else like I don't know, like the um I don't know, like protective spirits and stuff like that would kind of exist in the lower realms. It's kind of like the shadowy underworld type thing. There's a lot of water involved, and when I visited, it was kind of like a dark foresty type of area with a lot of dark pools of water and caves and stuff like that. But anyways, so on my first journey to the underworld, I met my spirit animal, which was actually I did this at college. So when I went to the underworld, in my dorm room, I met the power animal, power spirit, power spirit animal of our college, which was the mascot, but in like a what more of a shamanic sense, anyways. But anyways, so when I went to the upper realms, I don't know. I think this was at home. At home when my my grandparents' house. But anyways, I met the sun and the moon, and they knew I was interested in free energy, so they gifted me a coil, and I'll draw it exactly how they had it. They had it in like triangles, so it was like so one way was clockwise, and this I guess this would be the clockwise, and this would be so I had the sun and the moon. So I had the sun and the moon, and they gifted me this coil, which they said was the key to free energy. Now, as a kid, growing up, I really thought about, well, the world needs like energy and stuff. I was kind of like tuned into like the energy crisis and oil prices and all that stuff I saw growing up, and like looking on the internet and stuff, and I'm like, the world really needs like a energy source that's like different from oil and coal and all this crap. So so I'm like, okay, the world needs energy, so I'm gonna try and invent a new type of energy for the world. So like I grew up with computers and stuff. I knew electricity exists, but I didn't like I was like divorced from knowledge about electronics and stuff. I was more computer minded at that time, so I didn't know how like electronics worked or any of that stuff. I was more into like painting and like video games and stuff. But anyways, so when I was at art school, which I was at first, when I was learning how to shamanic journey, and when I was at home, like it must have been on a break or something, but I did a spirit journey, learning shamanism, and the sun and the moon gifted me this coil. So they said this would be your answer to the energy crisis, basically. This is the secret to free energy. So I didn't get it then, but now I more understand it. This is the same thing as the caduceus coil. It's just stretched out. So you have the caduceus coil, which is like this. You have a clockwise and a counterclockwise coil. Same as the kundalini snakes, going up a spine or whatever. And you have the wings and the pineal gland thing at the top. So it's like the kundalini snakes and the Mercury staff or Aaron's rod. It's the same thing. It's a caduceus coil, and it's just spread out. It's like not combined. It's just on an even keel or whatever how you usually say it. So these would be coils, clockwise and counterclockwise, equal in turns on a plane or on a rod or core, I guess, if you put them on a core. Clockwise on one side, counterclockwise on the other, like the sun on one side and the moon on the other. So this is very alchemical. So and I later went on to study alchemy, and I was kind of fooling around with electrodes and like silver and copper, and like electrolysis and stuff. So this kind of fits in good with the alchemy theme that I later went on to study, of the clockwise being the sun and the counterclockwise being the moon, and those being the two poles of alchemy. Alchemy, when you go on to study, you learn about the sun and the moon being the two polarities of gold and silver and all that stuff. So the male and female, etc. And there's everything in between, anyways, because it's more of a sliding scale rather than when you learn about hermetics, it's more of a sliding scale than a binary system. But anyways, so when you combine those, you get the Aaron's rod or like Mercury's staff or wand or whatever, and the kundalini snakes going up the spine, and the little wings, like in the Egyptian things with the sun disk and the pineal gland at the top, the little pine cone at the top of the wand. So this fits in perfectly with our understanding of metaphysics and all that stuff. So this is the answer to the energy crisis, supposedly, the key to free energy. So I take this and I build a coil. Like I like get a steel rod that's like 2 or 3 feet long, and I wind, like tens of turns in each direction on it in like hookup wire, and then I get like a like at that time I had like a 30 volt switching power supply, or like a controlled power supply, and so I charged up the coil to like measure it with my oscilloscope or whatever, and it doesn't do anything really. It's kind of like inert. But then I go to switch the power off, and it spikes back and burns out my switching power supply. And that was supposed to be protected against like things like back EMF and stuff like that, and like little power spikes from inductors and stuff, or like when you turn the power the wrong way, it automatically blocks that transient or whatever from destroying the power supply. Well, this didn't. This was big enough that it actually burned out the power supply and almost started a fire as far in the actual unit as far as I was concerned. So so when you build these and you charge them up, they actually have enough power to, like, depending on the scale, to destroy electronics and things. So so be careful when you do that, because what I found was this actually builds up like a monopole type of electronic field. You can take like a compass and you can run it along the coil, and at one side you'll actually get a reversal, like a pole. I don't know if it's the clockwise side or the counterclockwise side, but you can actually find like a little flip in the compass polarity, and that'll tell you which side is like sucking the energy in. So this coil actually sucks energy in at one of the sides. So so like when you build a coil and you run electricity through it, it builds like a stable little bubble around the coil, and it's like, yeah, big deal, it stretches out the ether or whatever. Well, this coil, it actually builds like a unstable, it builds like a I don't know what you want to call it, like a vortex or something, and it actually sucks energy in through one of the sides. So and it does this by overlapping two two opposite polarity magnetic fields. You overlap them, and then at one end it sucks energy in. So so I don't know how that works, and like as far as physics goes or whatever, but you take a compass, you run it along, at one end the compass flips around. So so obviously there's some weird construct going on there as far as magnetic fields are concerned. So anyways, so what I figured out was, if I built a coil like this, equal turns on an iron core, and I put that into a circuit, I run electricity through it to run a circuit, and then when I turn the circuit off, as long as I have rectifying diodes, when I turn it off, it'll charge the battery back up to the voltage of the diodes. So I put in a so actually I'm testing this out right now. I put in a neon tube with a resistor built into it to see if that'll actually charge it up better. But as far as it's concerned, when it's in the off state, disconnected, and it has wires going to the 9-volt battery with rectifying diodes, or like a bridge rectifier, just rectifying diodes work too. It charges up to the voltage value of the rectifying diodes, and that'll actually run the LEDs I have hooked up to it for a little bit longer. So I was actually getting, when I turn the system off after the battery had run dead, it would actually recharge. This is a rechargeable battery. It would actually recharge the battery to a certain point, and then it would stop. So I think if I put like a little more resistance in, like this neon bulb, it might actually recharge it fully. I just started experimenting with it, like right before I started making this video. So the results on that are yet to be seen. So so I came up with this circuit, which is basically the coil, a 9-volt rechargeable battery, a toggle switch, an array of LEDs, one resistor for each LED. So there's just the bright white ones, and then a reversed LED for when the voltage gets put on backwards, so it doesn't burn out the LEDs, and a capacitor to protect the LEDs from transients. So just because then when there's a voltage spike, it'll just go through the capacitor. So then hooked up to this coil, and then in addition to the normal on-off or the positive and negative leads to the battery, I have a positive lead through a neon bulb and diode facing positive towards the battery to charge it, and a single lead of a diode facing negative to the negative pole of the battery to the coil. So when the array gets disconnected, the coil is set up in such a way that it will recharge the battery. So yeah, that's the invention I have right now. It'll only get like a little bit of juice out of the battery without the neon bulb. So now I'm trying with the neon bulb and seeing if I can get a little more juice into the battery, as far as recovering the battery's charge for running the LEDs. So this was like my like pet project, my ideal, like Carrington or nuclear war or like Yellowstone volcano, and there's like no sunlight. You can't use solar panels. There's no electricity from wind or something, or maybe not, or maybe you don't have a wind generator, but you need like light for growing plants indoors, obviously, because it's like radioactive or whatever outside. And so you need to grow plants indoors, and you need a power source that doesn't rely on sun or anything else outside because it's all trashed. So from like EMP or whatever. So this was my like ideal pet project. So it's like it's like a post-apocalyptic plant growing thing, grow light basically. So so obviously the LEDs I got weren't bright enough, or either, well, yeah, they have enough voltage and current, but they weren't bright enough for plants. I actually need to make a second strip. Maybe that would work better. But anyways, so yeah, so that's that. So so take from this what you want, but if you share it, please give me credit for it, as I originated it from my shamanic journey, of course. And actually, I do want to mention this. I have to take a little trip around here. This is something that I also designed, given the alchemical value of this coil design. If you do make a caduceus coil and put an iron spike in it, I highly suggest you put a little neon bulb between the two sides. You will get an amazing energy out of it. It's like super healing and everything. So I think this is what Mercury's little staff healing tool originally was. The key is to put resistance between the two snakes, or the two wires. Actually, they're connected at the bottom, so it's just really one wire wrapped around two ways around the iron core, which in this case is just a giant landscape spike or whatever. But yeah, it gives off really cool energy, and you'll feel it once you put it together. So just that little aside. So thanks for oops, oh, sorry, it's a mess. So thanks for watching, and again, here's the final shot of my circuit design. So from that little inspiration from my shamanic journey. And have a great Halloween and November if I don't post after this for a while. So thanks for watching. Bye.